Right now, it's better for a woman to be in a relationship than by herself because a relationship for a woman, if she's with a man with money, automatically increases her net worth.
And a man too, especially if he has a good woman and she brings peace. That's the #1 asset in any
But
relationship.
a good woman. If a woman gets into a relationship, her net worth automatically increases because she's going to pay for less things.
Yeah.
Automatically. She's with a man that's going to be paying for the trips, he's paying for the food, he's paying for, rent, all of those different things.
Yeah.
So he automatically allows her to be able to have more investing power. So if she's into investing, she can automatically put more money into the market, put more money into businesses, wherever she wants.
Yeah.
Because now he's just taking care of all of her living expenses. So a woman in a relationship is getting the first benefit of the relationship through increased net worth if a man is taking care of her in that relationship.
I mean, but the truth is most men offer that because they don't bring anything else to the table. Men complain about women being gold diggers, and then you approach them on, fuck with me, baby, and I'm gonna give you everything.
You do believe that's true then? Who we choose as a partner is one of the most important decisions of our life.
Well, it's the most important decision we ever make, and again, it's the one that we're very often the least conscious of all the factors that go into it.
Yes. Does that speak to, because I've seen you talk about these two needs that we have, one being attachment and one being authenticity.
Yeah.
Could you explain that? And also, I recently interviewed Will Stewart, who wrote phenomenal books, one being The Status Game.
Yeah.
And he talks about, he also sees a need for status as well. So what's your thought in terms of those two needs? And do you see status also as an important need for us?
Let me talk about attachment, authenticity, and come back to status.
Okay.
So in the book, The Myth and Normal, children are born with certain needs. Now, one of the essential needs is attachment. Attachment being the drive to be close to somebody for the sake of being taken care of, or to take care of the other. So the essence of the attachment drive, not just in human beings, but in all mammals, and even in birds, is so that the young vulnerable one can be taken care of by the more mature adult one. So the adult has a attachment instinct towards the vulnerable infant, and the infant has an attachment need towards the adult, so that the caretaking can occur the way nature intended it. So now the attachment drive stays with us all our lives. It's never as dire and as dominant and as definitive as it is in childhood, because you're never as vulnerable and helpless and immature, but it stays with us so that as adults and old people, we still have an attachment need. We're just human beings. We're wired for attachment. So that's clear. But we also have a need to be ourselves, to be authentic, which means to be in touch with our bodies, to be touch with our emotions, and to be able to act according to the truth of ourselves. Now, very simple example, gut feelings.
Let's go ahead and get into it, man. So that is Dr. Gaber Mate. You guys heard of him? Are you familiar with him? No? Okay. So I know he talked about choosing a person to be with. I know he don't like to say partner, but I mean, that's what they was saying. But choosing a person you're going to spend the rest of your life with is one of the most important things. And then he also talked about how the childhood attachments shape your adult relationships. So let's go ahead and just get a little bit into it. I like these conversations because it kind of pushes our thoughts outside of what we normally talk about. Because a lot of these things, like one of the things we always say is that date who likes you or be with who likes you, right? If they don't like you, then you probably shouldn't be with them. So I do think that when we are picking people or we are dating, there are some things that's missed often. And I think that men overlook. Since it's King Talk, we talking about men. They overlook a lot of different things, and they may have a higher chance of having a successful relationship. And if they so choose want to get married, having a better chance of having a long-term marriage. So let's talk about that childhood attachments and how it shape your adult relationships. Whoever want to chime in first.
Yeah, I could definitely see how obviously the childhood attachment shapes that. And I also see not only the attachments, but the different things that you may go through as a child. Maybe the lack of, you know, seeing, someone treat somebody right. Let's say if you didn't see your father treat your mother right, then you may think it's okay for you to be treated incorrectly or what have you. So, that helps shape the type of relationships that you do see. You also have situations where the way you grew up, if you, let's say you grew up with multiple siblings, right? Depending on your birth order, that could have a strong indication on how you're going to be in relationships. So picking somebody, based on that it can definitely be detrimental, or could work in your favor. So it's a lot of different scenarios, but I think it's really based on if you know what you want and knowing how to go get it.
All right, so I I think that choosing a partner is very important, but I didn't agree. I saw that the doctor corrected him and said it's the most important decision in your life, and I can't say that for everybody. If you let's just take people who take people of importance. Like if you say Donald Trump, how many times has he been married? 3. So his partner probably didn't change his life path very much. He still was going to do what he was going to do. Elon Musk, very important figure. You see how many companies he's running, what he's doing. 3 times married, right? And I think if he had 2 more wives, it probably wouldn't make a substantial difference in what he's going to do with his life, in all honesty. So I think it depends on you as an individual. There are some people who are more, you have your codependent, and then you have your people who are interdependent. Now, I do agree with the section where they say that what type of person you are as far as your childhood, what you've been through, that absolutely is going to shape and mold what type of a relationship you're going to have in the future. But it's important to examine that, right? Because it's not cut and dry. There are some people who didn't receive any affection as children, but they might grow up to need it all the time because they missed it. Or there may be people who just adapted and said, you know what, I really don't need that because I'm just used to not having it. It feels weird to me to be affectionate. So you just have to look at things like that. It's important to examine what type of person they are. And I always tell people, before you decide to get serious with someone, you should probably meet their family, see how they interact with their family, right? See how it goes in their family. If you don't like what's going on, if you see there's a lot of bitterness and people aren't they're not fluid together, then that's probably what your relationship is going to look like. It's important to make sure that particular woman that you would choose in your life is going to have respect for her father, and that a father was in her life, because that's pretty much how she's going to see you. If she doesn't value men because she never saw a man in her life and really saw no use for him, and probably heard from her mother how horrible the dad was, then she's going to value you just the same. Oh, I don't really need you. I could do this for myself, or watch my mom do it. And a lot of us find ourselves in that situation because we don't pay attention to those type of signs. We'll more so be looking like, damn, she a baddie, or damn, she got that gawk 3K or something crazy, where we enthused by that more so than we are about how the family structure is. So depending on what type of person you are, it could really make you miserable, because you have to understand you're gonna wake up next to that person, go to bed next to that person, vacation with that person. You know what I mean? When those quiet times, you're gonna have that person in your vicinity. So you just really have to examine it. I don't think that us as humans, especially today, take the time for that. We're more so in the age where a lot of people just are concerned about, do we match aesthetically? Could we be some type of a power couple or something weird like that, rather than are we compatible? Does this person have the same type of moral compass as me? Do we have the same type of values? Do our religions work together, or lack of religion work together, right? But is this person messy and I'm not? Certain things that'll just really wreck your relationship. What do they think a good sex life is. Are they vanilla and I'm off the hook? Do they think twice a week is cool, twice a month is cool? And I'm like, nah, I need a couple times a day. It's a lot of things we just got to really examine that we don't and we ignore. I'll let somebody else rock.
So Trey, let me ask you a question, because it sounds like you didn't agree with him that your person is the most important decision. But then, well, let me ask you this: are you agreeing with him that the right person is the most important decision? Or are you disagreeing with him?
No, it's not the most important. I'd say it is very important. I said
Okay.
why I think it is important. It is very important, right? But not the most important thing, right? Because again, there's nuance to it. It's not like cut and dry. Some people, depending on if you're codependent, interdependent, it might be more important to you because you need that balance from the other person. But some people function just fine as individuals. And then I gave the examples of some individuals who I felt like really wouldn't matter what type of partner they had.
So, okay. So, and that's what I thought. So, but you sound like you was giving the case why it should be. Now, I do agree that it is. And the reason why is been, look, if you can find a good woman, you better hold on to her, fellas. Hold on as long as you can, because ain't shit out there. Because a certain woman, man, can encourage you, uplift you, really motivate you and push you along further than you ever thought you could. Now I know as men, we want to think, oh well, no, it wasn't nothing. She ain't had nothing to do with bullshit. Because we know that woman could speak confidence in you, where everybody else thinks you crazy. I don't think it's gonna be successful. It could be all 8 of us up here say, man, Trevor, you crazy for doing that business venture. But you know what Mrs. Trevor would be saying? Don't worry about what them guys saying. They just jealous. You do what you can. I know you're gonna do it. And she'll speak that and then have you running through a goddamn wall. The right person. It also is going to affect your family. Because it's going to determine on what type of kids you got. That right person. If she's got some mental issues, like you said, you going over the in-laws' house or the future in-laws' house, and you notice those things and you still marry her anyway, yeah, that could affect your kids. Because she could pass down them crazy-ass mental genes, them crazy-ass standards and ways, and pass them down to the kids, and now your kids influence. Now your kids can go out there and do some stupid and crazy shit that could affect your name and your legacy. So yes, I think it is probably the most important decision. Because if you make the bad decision and pick the wrong woman, she can definitely cost you your mental, financial, and emotional stability.
Even your
Everything
life.
about that can cost if you don't find the right woman.
Go ahead, Law. Were you saying something?
I was just saying it could even cost you your life picking the wrong one. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's on it. So I agree with the point about your early childhood or how you observe. I can't say for everybody, but for me, I kind of like trying to spot patterns in people and associate behaviors with things I've seen in the past. So, like for me, when I was growing up, my uncles, they was all married. I seen some of the way that they would speak about the way their relationship panned out and how they would interact with the women that they married, right? And I'm like, damn, I was against marriage because I'm like, all these women is crazy. According to them, women is going to be acting like this, according to them. And then I start seeing the pattern, like, wait, you picked a woman who does this specific thing or who thinks this specific way, who thinks argumentation is a valid form of communication, or who thinks nagging is showing you love, or who finds it cute to be like who thinks it's cute to be argumentative. Like there are people out here who think that's just a way of flirting, or that's a way of like relating to you to say some slick shit. Like you people may have laughed in the beginning or may laugh, and then now down the line, that shit's a huge issue. You just like, oh, that's just how she is, or that's just how he is. I'm like, hell no, I don't want to deal with that shit. As soon as I notice, like I noticed the trend, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna fuck with no woman like that. I'm just gonna stay clean away from this. And make sure that I vet for certain things that they told me about. I got the experience firsthand account. They telling me every day. I get to listen to why they mad about the shit. It's a real simple fix. Okay, well, just don't find a woman who feel like getting back or she got to get even with you is in her operating system. Like it's real simple, and you'll be surprised how the getting even with you operating system is also a feminist operating system because we need to be right here on the same level at all times. So now it's tit for tat. Now you bleed into the I'm gonna nag you and talk shit to you because I feel like you got one up on me, so I can even the score, so I can fight you in this power dynamic. All those things is gonna result in you having a relationship that's real fucked up. That you unless you are somebody that really enjoys that. And for those people, I ain't got no, you know what I'm saying? That's your life. I ain't mad at you if you actually do enjoy that. I'm just not one of those people. I despise that type of shit. Like I truly do. So I just avoided those type of women. And now when we had a conversation, I'm like, no, I don't got that problem. Everything cool. And they still talking about the issue. And I'm like, man, they could have just fixed this. But it didn't bother them enough for them to say, yeah, I'm gonna avoid that type of woman completely. Like, just write her ass off. You don't have to deal with nobody. Like this shit ain't see somebody you ain't related to. You can get her, like, man, replace that person. But yeah, I agree. If you take the lessons, then your childhood can either affect you positively or negatively. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you got to be paying attention.
All right, go ahead, Sherman. I know you were trying to get in there.
Also, some people are just addicted to trauma and drama. So it's like, say what Marcus was just talking about. I mean, I know people that talk to me about their female problems that they have with their spouse or woman or whatever. And now I'm thinking like, do y'all enjoy this shit? Like, I feel like you just want to talk about this. Like you want to talk about a problem and you're so used to talking about problems that you just want to let it linger. Cause I'm like, hey bro, put your foot down, tell her this, tell her that, like solve the issue. You do not have to keep this recurring cycle of issues going on. And I'm just like, you know what, man, at the end of the day, I feel like because of the lack of attention that some people got growing up, or the lack of love, or the lack of self-confidence, they just love any type of attention that gets their blood flowing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, because I personally had situations with women where it's like they thought I was cold-hearted, or this or that, because I wouldn't feed into their drama with them. And it's like, if I'm not yelling at you, acting dramatic, or trying to shake you up or put my hands on you, I must not love you. And I'm just like, I'm just not that type of guy. Like, I'm not going to deal with that, and then I started to realize that, when I look at the history of these women, they were in foster care, they went through like traumatic and dramatic childhoods. And it's like, they want to go back to that moment where it's just like, it's kind of, I can't understand it because I never really even been in that. But I feel like if they don't feel that, then it's just like, this must not be real love, because the only love I felt was like drama or trauma or something of that sort. So I agree with all of you when it comes to going back and looking at how someone was raised and going through their history and figuring out if that's for you. Because I'm not going to say just because somebody went through trauma and drama that they're not a person that can be loved. They might not be the right person for you. And then somebody else might love that and want to cope with them and help build them up and help them get out of it. You just have to have the mental fortitude to want to do that for that person. Be honest with yourself, because some men could be like, just what Hink was saying. Hey, baby, you could do this. I'm going to help you, believe in yourself, that. And some guys are like me. I don't need anybody to tell me anything. I'm a self-starter, goer, whatever. I don't need a woman in my corner telling me you could do it, baby. I don't need none of that shit. I was not raised like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if the world was against me. I'm gonna go out there by myself with my spirit, and all right, I'm me. I'm by myself. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna say that another man may not need that. I just know that that's not for me. Because some people go, like, say in my marriage, I can't relate to everybody, because it's just like, look, man, I've been knowing this person since 2006. They've been knowing me for almost 20 years. Like, we really know each other. So it's like the issues that you go through, I can't even relate to. Like, I don't know. You're basically getting to know a person that you married. You know what I'm saying? Me and her is like, do y'all argue? No, we don't. Never. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're problem solvers. She's a psychologist. Like there's no emotions or none of that. It's just plain black and white, and that's what it is. But then we actually just had our 7-year anniversary yesterday. So I was just thinking about, our patterns.
Gang, 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 gang.
Yeah, thank you. And stuff like that, right? And I started to think like maybe this is where, because she grew up with a stepfather that was in the Air Force, military man. My father was in the Army, military man. And we grew up in very structured households. So it's like the way we operate is very structured. We work together, we work in tandem. Hey, you throwing the stuff away, I'm picking it up, putting it in the trash. We don't even have to talk about it. We already know what to do. You know what I mean? But it was just a blessing that I'm able to deal with somebody where we were raised in similar kind of ways that is totally different from the majority of people, but it works for us. You know what I'm saying? So I just say, look, man, if you don't find somebody where it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be a match. You know what I mean? Like we live two totally different lives. We're not codependent on each other. We love our space. I love that she's over there and I'm over here. We love our time apart. But some people have to consistently be together and do everything together, or there's no relationship. So for everybody out there, man, you just got to find what works for you at the end of the day.